Hello, bonjour, namaste, ni hao, and ohio everybody. What is going on? It is Galeriot here. Welcome back to the YouTube channel once again for another Danmachi Battle Chronicle video. And today I'm here to give you guys my day one impressions of the beta test. I'm going to be going over my concerns, my positives, my negatives, and just overall my general thoughts regarding this beta test so far. Now, of course, it's only day one, so there's still a long way to go. There's still another 3 or 4 days of beta testing. So I'm going to probably see a lot of changes in my opinions over the next couple of days. So of course I'm going to be doing a final impressions video at the end of the beta test as well. So of course, if you guys go on to enjoy this video and you want to see more content, please be sure to leave a like down below, subscribe to the channel for more Danmachi Battle Chronicle content, and of course leave your comments down below as well, letting me know what do you guys think about the game as well. Do you guys like it so far? Do you guys dislike it? What are your concerns? What are your positives regarding this game? Let me know in the comment section down below. You guys have seen so much more now because of my live streams, my videos and stuff like that. So let me know what you guys think. I'm very curious to see what you guys think. Do you guys like it or dislike it? All right. Now before we get into the first impressions, I want to point out something that a lot of people have been asking about, and that is the release date as well as the PC release. So first and foremost, in regards to the release date of the game, for Japan, it's releasing sometime in spring 2023. Now, we don't know exactly when in spring 2023, but it's coming out sometime between now and May, most likely. That's the prediction. Unless they want to delay the game a little bit more to, iron out the issues, I think it'll come out sometime between the next 2 months. For global, I have no idea. I have absolutely zero idea. And in terms of how much progress they've made in regards to global, to be quite honest, no idea. So we'll have to wait and see on that front. And of course, regarding the PC release, that's also something we don't know much about. In fact, it's not even been officially confirmed like the global release. So it's something that's up in the air. We'll just have to wait and see when they do that, to be quite honest. So that's the points I wanted to make because a lot of people have been asking about that. Now, my thoughts on this game, right? I want to just preface this by saying, like I said earlier on, I have a lot of things to still do in this game. I still have a lot of things to experience in this game, but I'm going to be giving you guys my first impressions and my first thoughts of this game based on like 4 or 5 hours of just pure gameplay, literally just playing the game consistently, testing out different characters, testing out different moves, testing out different things, basically, right? So first thing I want to talk about is the gameplay. I want to talk about the gameplay because this is going to be very, very significant, I think, for a lot of players. And and people must be wondering, how does the game feel? Is the gameplay good? Is it smooth? Is it bad? What is it feeling like, Gale? And I would say that it is smooth. I think that's the best way to put it. It is smooth. There is a feel to it. You do feel the impact, because one of the things that I feel like a lot of people tend to ignore in action RPGs, and this is something that certain games are culpable of. For example, I would say a game like Sword Art Online Variant Showdown is culpable of this, where moves don't feel like they do much. Here it definitely feels like they do something, which is very, very important, I feel like. However, I will say one thing: there are still niggling issues for sure in terms of control. It feels very finicky on a mobile device, I'm not gonna lie, but that's something that's regular for any sort of gacha game like this. I feel like it's the same with even Honkai and PGR and stuff like that. It's just very annoying to play a game like this, to be quite honest. I never have fun playing with touch controls, to be honest. So it's one of the reasons why I'm really hoping that we do get a global a PC release, to be quite honest, because it'll just make things a lot smoother. And of course, if somebody ends up being able to use a controller for it as well, I think that's what's gonna help this game out tremendously. I also have noticed that there does feel to be a little bit of what is input lag as well. For example, I don't know if you guys noticed there necessarily, but when I was stunned and then I had clicked the dodge button right before it, I basically dodged after I got out of the stun lock instead of moving, which is what I was trying to do. So it feels like it registers the move, but it only applies it after you get you're out of the stun, even if you don't want to do it anymore. So it's really annoying in that regards. But also another thing that I noticed as well that is far more annoying than anything else is the problem of not being able to lock onto a target. So one thing I've noticed with Bell, and even with the Eyes unit that I'm using right here, and Cassandra. Actually, let me try and go in with Cassandra as my main attacking unit. Even though Cassandra is a healing unit, one of the things I noticed with this game that I have an issue with gameplay-wise while everything is nice, while everything is smooth, it feels crisp in its attack animations and stuff. The issue I have is that you can't lock on. You cannot hit these enemies because they'll just aim in the wrong direction. They'll just aim where you're targeting rather than at the enemy. And it really can be a bit frustrating because it's just like you want to target at the enemy, but then because your aim is a little bit off, just even a tiny bit off, you're going to be screwed basically. So you have to be precise in your attacks, otherwise you're gonna get screwed. Like, look at that, I literally just narrowly missed the window. And even if I use, say for example, Firebolt, I aimed in the opposite direction. Obviously I still got the silver back because, you know, he's so massive in his hitbox, right? So it still works. But if you're fighting a more nimble enemy, right, say for example you end up fighting Hyakintos in season 2, for example, right, he's gonna be really annoying to fight against because he's gonna have such a narrow hitbox in comparison to any other unit, and it's gonna be literally frustrating. It's gonna be super frustrating. So I would say that one thing that they definitely need to do more so than anything else is being able, okay, again, this is where I get frustrated with the movement system. For some reason it just doesn't register that I'm trying to move it, even though I have literally tapped the button like 50,000 times, you know. It's really frustrating. Okay, again, this is where I'm case in point of me literally just not hitting the okay, input lag. Again, I didn't even do that. I didn't even register that at any point. Thanks, game. So you guys could see this some of the difficulties towards the end of that combat period there. I think, of course, if you're going into a game mode and you're obviously on PC or if you're on a controller, it'll probably be a little bit of a better experience, but that's still going to be an issue where, okay, you've registered an attack, but it's going to go off even though you don't want it to go off anymore, or you got interrupted. It's gonna still go off, like even if you're 50 miles away or if you've been knocked back 50 miles away, which is a little bit of a problem. One thing also that we can't see as well is a change in difficulty, at least for the story mode yet, but there does seem to be a change in difficulty. But yeah, gameplay wise, niggling issues that need to be addressed. However, I would say the overall experience of being able to attack and, you know, deal damage and the maneuverability and stuff is very nice, though. I will say that it definitely feels a lot nicer than I was expecting, but there are issues that need to be addressed before it comes out finally. That is something that needs to be addressed. Now, another thing that I've had an issue with is more so from the perspective of the difficulty. If you go into the event, right, this is the event that's currently live right now. It's basically going through Bell's season 1 journey, effectively, of the biggest and baddest monsters he's faced, and it obviously culminates in the fight against the Minotaur. Of course, I haven't gotten to that point because even though the combat level requirement is 18,440, and I am at 22,330, the battle is still very difficult because the HP of the enemies are ridiculously high. They're ridiculously high and they're extremely tanky. We just don't deal enough damage, even if we are at a higher combat power by like 4,000 points. 4,000 points and we're still struggling there. So that's something that I feel like is a little bit of an issue. I feel like that's something that needs to be addressed probably when the game comes out, because you can't be having situations where, like, for example, I was live streaming the start of this game, right? And I finished up the story on live stream within 2.5 hours. But the last half an hour was literally me losing to this guy again and again and again, consistently, even though I was at like, okay, the combat requirement here was 13,530. I was at like 12,000 something, right? Which is, yeah, I'm definitely under the required combat power, but I should still be able to challenge the enemy. Maybe it'll be close, but I shouldn't be able to just lose my characters consistently and not deal enough damage. The thing is, right, and this is a problem, we're able to beat it now because we're like nearly 10,000 combat power higher, but I did try beating it after the live stream and I was at 14,000 power and I beat it within a minute. But on live stream, when I was at 12,000 power, which is only a 2,000 power difference, and remember, I will say this, I didn't level up Bell at all. Bell was level 30. I didn't have any of these characters, but I was like slightly adjusting some things, and I just leveled up Gareth a little bit. I was using Gareth at the time. I leveled up Gareth a little bit and I got him to 14,000, and I didn't even use Gareth in the fight and I beat it very easily within a minute. So what that means is, and the reason why I'm saying this is, there is a huge difference in being underpowered and being overpowered, because what this game does is very similar to what another gacha game, Nikkei, does as well, and that is, if you are under the required combat power, you will be imposed with a damage penalty. You will be inflicted with a damage penalty, which means your characters will do less damage because you are under leveled. And that is a huge issue. I've already mentioned it to them in the feedback server already. So there is a feedback channel in the Danmachi Battle Chronicle server. I've already mentioned it there. I said, like, look, that's not good enough. You gotta make sure that's fixed. I had to translate it to Japanese, so hopefully they understand it, but I don't know. I hope that other Japanese players address this point as well, because having a character under leveled doesn't mean you're imposed with a damage penalty. You don't sort of inflict more pain on the player for going into a fight under leveled. In fact, you should encourage that. Say, like, okay, you're gonna have a difficulty with this fight. Are you sure you want to go in? Let them go in and let them test it out. Let them try and beat the enemy completely on their own merit and see if they can do it. I get why they do it. I get that they don't want players to just storm through with one unit only, but that isn't a way to go about it. That is not the way to go about it, in all honesty. That is simply not the way to go about it, and I hope they do fix that for the final version, because imposing a damage penalty on a player for just being slightly underleveled is extremely foul, and I don't like it whatsoever. That's one of the biggest flaws I've had in this game so far. In fact, it is probably the only major flaw I have with this game, alongside the difficulty curve. Because one thing I've noticed, right, is that we're only on chapter 2 of season 1, which is when the Hestia knife came into picture and everything, right? We still have, of course, the Lily scenes, wealth, and so on and so forth to go through, right? And we're already at 13,000 power, and all my characters are like level 30 or level 20, which is halfway through the level curve, because the max level is level 50. You of course have your scene cards and everything. I think if you level up everybody and max them out, I would assume you'd be around the 100k mark. The thing is, we're already at 13,000 power on chapter 2 alone of season 1, which means by the time you get to season 4, are we going to be at like 150, 200k combat power requirement? Because these units aren't going to be able to reach that point. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So I'm curious to see how they're going to go about it in the future in terms of the power creep. Are they going to scale down the combat power a little bit? Which they should, in my personal opinion. I think the combat power should be scaled down quite a bit. In fact, I would say that's the same situation with the event. The fact that I can't complete the event right now is a crime, in all honesty. I should be able to clear the event very easily. If you go into Danmimo, for example, right? I'm going to bring up Danmimo as an example quite a bit in this video, actually. If you take a look at Danmimo, right, and its events, right, if you just start the game, they give you a free MLB Max Hero Ascended Argonaut Bell, which is a first tier unit, but even that Argonaut Bell is able to clear the events on normal at the very least, even hard, I would say. You can clear normal and hard very easily with just Argonaut Bell. Of course, very hard is a little bit harder for sure, as the name suggests, of course, but even then you could still probably clear very hard with just Argonaut Bell and a couple of random units on the sideline, basically, right? In comparison here, I'm just struggling consistently. And yes, arguably it's obviously just the start of the game and whatnot, but I still don't see that being a reason behind it being so difficult, in all honesty. I don't get it. I absolutely do not get it. I think the power curve needs to be lowered quite a bit. Now I want to talk about the gacha system a little bit, of course, right? So one thing to note is that I have a separate video already dedicated to the summon system and my summons and everything. I'll do one more multi right here because I have 3000 iris anyways, but I go into more detail about the pity system and everything in that video. Now, one thing that has been revealed to me since that video came out is that from 4-star to 5-star, it only costs 10 shards. Now, the thing is, right, when I made that video, first and foremost, I thought that to go from 3-star to 4-star, it was 1 copy, and then from 4-star to 5-star, I thought it would be maybe like 3 or maybe 4 copies probably required, right? That's what I thought it was gonna be, basically. However, it does seem like that only 2 more copies are required on top of the original copy to go from 3-star to 5-star, which is really nice. I think that makes it a lot better that you only need to get 3 copies of a unit in this game to be able to max them out, at least at the moment. Of course, they could expand upon that in the future. And In fact, the reason why I say it's very good is because of multis like this. This is a horrendous multi, in all honesty. This is a disaster of a multi, I would say. Because, realistically speaking, right, it is a 3% chance to get a character, right? Okay, glitch, a little bit glitchy there. It's a 3% chance to get a 3-star character, right? And on top of that, it's a 1.5 for an adventure, 1.5 for an assist, right? And then you have a 3% chance for a You Are Seen card. I haven't gotten a You Are Seen card outside of the guaranteed one that they just dropped a couple of hours ago. It is really, really frustrating because I don't think outside of the guaranteed 3 stars, I have gotten a single 3-star, and I've done like 4 or 5 multis so far. Now, the pity system is 20 multis, but I feel like that it's very steep. It's very much like Princess Connect. If you've ever played Princess Connect, the gacha system is very similar to that. You will have to hoard a load of iris for one specific character, and you'll have to work towards getting that specific character. That's one of the things that I feel is going to be a little bit disliked amongst the community, to be quite honest. And this is where I will say, if you are a Danmachi fan and if you want to play a game very casually and you're interested in only the story and the collector side of things, Danmachi Memoria Freese is still the better gacha. The gameplay and presentation of this game is definitely nice, but at this point in time, day one, my thoughts after day one, I do believe Danmachi Memoria Freese is a better gacha for a collector and a fan of this, and as a fan of the series. I'll be very real and say that the 3D models look beautiful. The animated sequences for the season stuff has been very, very nice. I mean, if you want to go watch my live stream, I actually go and watch some of the animated cutscenes in that live stream. I really, really like it. But the thing is, right, the event doesn't have a story. So far, it doesn't seem like it. It doesn't have a story. It just seems to be only battles, right? It's only 5 battles. There's no form of story in this yet. Maybe in the final release, there will be story. But as a fan of Danmachi and as a fan of the story and lore, I will always tend towards going towards Danmimo, to be quite honest, more so than Battle Chronicle. Battle Chronicle will definitely fulfill that itch of a 3D, 3D action game from Danmachi, but it's not gonna fulfill my itch of a storytelling experience, a character-driven game, in all honesty. It's gonna be good in terms of just being able to play it, and, it's sort of like that action RPG experience we wanted from a Danmachi game, more so on console than on mobile, but we're getting it finally, but it's not anything too crazy. So that's something I will mention is a point I would like to make. I just feel like that's something I had to get out there and give you guys my thoughts on that front. I still do believe Danmimo is the better gacha. That's just how I feel. Now, when it comes to the character leveling system and everything, I think it's nice. I will say this. I do think it's nice that the level system is, I'm gonna have to, again, remember to put do not disturb. I do like the level system purely because it's not linked to the dupes at all. In fact, the only things that are linked to the dupes is actually the skill levels of characters. So you can see you have to level up your skills right here. Right now, at 3 stars, you can get them up to level 5. At 4 stars, you'll get them up to level 7. And then at 5 stars, you'll get them up to level 9, basically, right? The levels itself are farmable, so you don't have to worry about that front. It costs a lot of Valis, actually, and we'll come on to that in just a second. But it is something that you can get and farm for. Now, when it comes to the skill levels, right? I've realized that it's not that big of a difference, in all honesty, between 3 stars and 5 stars, especially if you look at each skill individually, right? So if you take a look at the final skill, right, the ultimate skill, it's a difference between 500% and 516.7%. And this is something I calculated earlier on, is if you want to take the difference at skill level 5, let's say you just pull a unit at 3 stars and you're going up against somebody in PvP, for example, who has skill level 9. And we'll talk about PvP in just a second, actually. But say you're skill level 5 and skill level 9, there is a 5 level skill difference, basically, right? Skill level 6, skill level 7, skill level 8, and skill level 9. Actually 4, sorry, that's 4. So there will be a difference of 16.7 times 4, because based on this level 2 skill that I have on the normal skill, it doesn't seem to increase exponentially. That means the scaling doesn't increase higher and higher. Like, initially it went from 90 to 94.5%, which is a difference of 4.5%. And now from level 2 to level 3, it's also another 4.5% of a difference. So assuming that's the case, the difference between the ultimate damages will be at most 66.8%. Now, it'll be different for unit to unit, but that's something to acknowledge. And I feel like that's actually a good thing, in the sense of, like, dupes may not matter too much. It may not matter too much. Of course, I haven't been able to experience PvP yet, unfortunately. Then if I had, I would be able to explain more and, you know, give you guys an idea on if it actually makes a difference or not, because I would know going up against other players how it exactly is. But PvP was actually broken for the first couple of hours of the day, unfortunately. I tried getting in and it was just a black screen, basically. The screen didn't even exist, unfortunately. And as a result, I had to just wait until they fixed it, which they did relatively quickly. They didn't even go into maintenance. They just said, okay, we know that there's a bug here. We'll fix it. Don't worry. And it's fixed now. But the problem is, right, because obviously in Japan, it's like super early in the morning. It's like 5 or 6 a.m. in the morning right now. And of course, a majority of the closed beta test players are from Japan. I actually can't find a match. There needs to be 8 players for this match, because it's the battle royale is 8 players. But right now we're only able to find at most 4 or 5 players online at a time, unfortunately. So right now we can't experience the battle royale gameplay in its entirety. I'm gonna have to wait until tomorrow morning to actually test it out, and probably make a video on it as well later today at the time of this video going up. The next video might be either PvP or it'll probably be something to do with team building. So yeah, I mean, I'm very excited to see how it's gonna be like, and I want to see the difference between a person who has a duped character and a person who doesn't have a duped character, because it'll give more of an indication on exactly how, you know, how important dupes are basically in this game, for sure, right? And of course, dupes will matter, obviously, you know, compared to you know, a 5-star unit with skill level 9 and a skill level 5 unit. There is going to be a difference, but it's going to be very interesting to see how significant the difference is between those units, right? That's going to be the main thing I would like to see for sure. In terms of the event exchange shop, right, of course, this is the currency you get from doing the battle royale. I mean, it looks like you're gonna get a load of iris currency for participating in the battle royale, so that's good at least. But when it comes to the event currency, right, I think that this is very, very nice in all honesty, because if you take a look right here, right, I've already bought out the iris exchange shop entirely, and the thing is, right, it gives you 300 iris per pickup basically, right? And it would cost 10 coins to pick up one of these 300 packets basically, right? The thing is, right, they would give you 30 of these, a maximum of 30, which means that 30 times 300, you would get 9,000 iris from an event. Now, of course, things may change in the final version, but this is something I like. With how bad the gacha rates are and the pity system is, right, we need as much of an income as possible. So getting 9,000 iris per event is going to be a huge thumbs up from yours truly. We also have missions and stuff to collect as well, which will obviously give us a huge amount of iris as well over time, especially, right? But another thing I want to point out is another way you can gain iris, from what my understanding. These are ways I've found you can gain iris. The other way you can get iris is if we go to Cassandra right here, right? CP levels. It's exactly like Don Mimo. You will be able to give gifts to these characters. You'll be able to use them and gain CP levels. I've just been using them and gaining these CP levels. But you can see that you've gotten 350 iris from just getting them from CP level 1 to CP level 5. Now, one thing to note, right, is if we take a look at also you can move around the characters and stuff as well. That's really, really nice. You can't interact with them, it seems like, at least from my understanding. Yeah, it doesn't seem like you can interact with them, which is a damn shame. But if you want to know exactly how the CP level system works, because it's not like Don Mimo's system. In fact, if there's anything to compare it to, it's exactly like Don Mimo's outfit refinement, because each unit has their own CP level. It's not like each character has their own CP level. It's not like Belle Crenel CP level 9. It's specific unit Belle Crenel CP level 9, specific unit 2 Belle Crenel CP level 2. For example, you saw that my Belle had a CP level of 9, right? This Belle that I have, my 1-star Belle, is only CP level 2. So you can gain a load of iris by just using different characters. It's going to be super, super nice in that regards. So that's something I'm giving a huge thumbs up. I like the fact that they've given a individual CP level to each character. Makes things a lot more better when it comes to the income of iris. Now, let's move on to the game modes of this game. And so far, I would say that for the most part, it seems okay. Obviously, I don't know what this coming soon is. That's gonna probably make a bit of a difference depending on what this coming soon actually ends up being. But right now you have the story mode on the top right, you have your training on the top right, because this is just basically guiding you with certain things and certain units. Basically, you get wealth and Mikoto by doing this event, specifically the 1-star wealth and Mikoto. This is your dailies. This is where you will do your dailies. And the thing is, right, with your dailies, you only get 2 attempts a day. Again, very similar to Princess Connect here, where you're only allowed in this stage twice a day. And if you want to do any more attempts, it costs 500 iris. Bit steep in my personal opinion. It probably should have been like 50 iris at most for an extra attempt. I don't know why it's that much, but that is something to acknowledge. It's only 2 attempts a day. They've only got 1 stage available in the beta test right now. I assume once we get into the live game, it'll probably be more stages, harder stages, where you can get higher quality material probably as well, because these are low quality materials basically, right? Now I want to show you guys one more thing that they have done in this game, which I really like, and that is the fact that you can do skip tickets basically without skip tickets. Effectively, there's no skip tickets required. All you need to do is just click that button on the bottom right where it says 8 out of 10 and you can do the stage again. However, there's a reason why it says 8 out of 10. You can only do it 10 times in a day. Now of course this is a daily stage, so we don't care about it, but let's go over to the event. Right, yesterday I think it was stage 2. I think I did all of the attempts again and again, and yeah, it doesn't seem like it's refreshed. Okay, so the daily login bonus has already happened. I think it happened around like 10 p.m. my time, which is like super early in the morning. In Japan it's like 4 a.m 5 a.m in the morning basically for people. Maybe it was like 9 p.m GMT, I don't know. It was some weird time that they did the login bonus at, and I just got the login bonus like an hour ago basically, but it doesn't seem to have refreshed. So you can only do it a set amount of times. So in this case you can only do 30 times, otherwise you are going to have to again refresh for 500 iris, which it seems very monetized. I will say that it definitely seems very monetized in a way. But yeah, that's something to acknowledge, that there is at least skip tickets and stuff like that. At least I would say that is a positive. I'm very curious to see if they've removed it for this as well. Okay, so even for the silverback monster, even in story mode, it doesn't refresh. So hopefully they change that. I would say that refreshing it every day or refreshing it at the end of every week, maybe that would make sense. But oh well, it is what it is. I think that's kind of worrisome in a way, to be quite honest, seeing it being monetized like that. Outside of that, of course, we have the familiar as well, which we can't access just now. Those are probably going to be our guilds and clans basically, right? As per usual, just like how Danmimo has a familiar system, same thing here. We just can't access it. We can't access the iris shop, so I can't really say what the prices are going to look like for iris, unfortunately, right? There's no way of knowing right now as to how much it's going to cost, in all honesty. But overall, my first impressions, I think there's a lot of positives here, right? Like I said, I think the gameplay experience is smooth, if a little bit clunky at times. The presentation is really nice. The 3D models look beautiful for what it's worth, right? It's obviously not on the level of a Honkai or Genshin or any of those top really high quality 3D gacha games that you have from China and stuff, right? But I think it holds its own for what it's worth. And while it could be better, arguably, I think maybe the PC release might look a lot better potentially. We'll just have to wait and see on that front. But the rest of the game, there are so many small things that are just making me very hesitant in terms of saying like, this is gonna be a better gacha game than Danmimo. I'm not gonna lie. Again, things like story. I'm a huge story nut, so for me story matters a lot, and the fact that this event does not have any story is concerning. The fact that also on top of that, the PvP system, we don't know how much deeps are going to matter. The gacha system is very much not in your favor for sure in this situation. Danmimo, at least it's somewhat in your favor for at least getting 1 copy of the unit. Here it's definitely not in your favor, right? And then of course the limited attempts, limited skip tickets, all of that jazz is going to be very interesting to see how it's going to be in the final version of the game. But right now I would say I'm definitely positive, but I'm also very hesitant at the same time. I think a lot of my concerns are coming to fruition a bit. It's just a matter of seeing how they manage to alleviate those when the final launch happens. But let me know what you guys think. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this first impressions video. It's a huge long video, so I hope you guys don't mind it being this long, but I had to get all my thoughts out there. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Please be sure to leave a like down below, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys next time. Take it easy, everybody. Bye bye.